Today we're going to talk about a tool called inside outside. You see, whenever there is an inside, there's got to be an outside. You can't have an inside without there being an outside. Let's take some examples. Let's say your company, don't you have like 3 different sites in your company?
Yes.
And what site are you with again?
I'm from the Winnipeg office.
The Winnipeg office. Now, Winnipeg office, that's where the action is, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Where's the action in your company?
Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg, not the Calgary office, is that? The Winnipeg office, that's where the action is. Yeah, right. And don't you have like multiple divisions in your company?
Yeah, I'm with the consumer division.
The consumer division, yes, yes. And the other one is the B2B division, is it? Where's the action? I mean, consumer division.
Well, yeah, I would say that.
That's where you need to be, right? You're in the consumer division. Forget the B2B division. That's where the action is, consumer division. Now where are you? What do you do in the company?
Sales.
You're in sales. Oh, sales. Wow, isn't that where the action is?
That's where it all happens.
I mean, where does the money come into the company from?
Straight from sales.
From sales. Those guys at the headquarters, what do? They just spend the money. You're the one that's bringing in the money, right? That's where the action is. See, so you feel like you're inside the sales group, inside that consumer division, inside the benefit. See, every time there's an inside, there is always an outside. You have to have an outside to have an inside. You can't be a member of the country club unless somebody is not a member of the country club. Otherwise, there's no belongingness to be a member of the country club. And the more you feel strong about being inside, I'm part of this. There is a gravitational pull that it creates. I'm part of the Winnipeg office. I'm part of the consumer division. That creates a gravitational pull. What does that do to the people on the outside? It creates a repulsive push. You can't avoid it. Anytime you create a gravitational pull, you'll create a repulsive push. The repulsive push will be opposite and proportional to the amount of gravitational pull. You can't avoid it. What that does is, the more you create the gravitational pull, the more these people are pushed away. And it has consequences. To illustrate the consequences, let me give you a story here. You know, many years ago, I was in this business. I was actually a bystander in this story. I watched this thing happen. The business had a division. It was the oscilloscope division. Oscilloscope. Now, that's a complicated word, isn't it? I mean, half the people can't even say the word oscilloscope. But it's an electronic instrument. It's a very powerful, sophisticated electronic instrument. I mean, you know, the people who built them, they were rocket scientists. I mean, they were pretty intense engineers and physicists. And they sold for anything from $20,000 to $100,000, one instrument. And we made a lot of money there. In fact, we had a business, $500 million business in oscilloscopes. We had over 60% market share in the business. We were the oscilloscopes. We were the oscilloscope, manufacturer of the world. $500 million business. And you know what profit we made? 40% operating margin. $200 million of profit every year, like clockwork. You know the problem was? We didn't have much growth. Because everybody who needed one pretty much knew us. There was not much growth. But $500 million every year, $200 million of profit. Now, Rick was the vice president of the oscilloscope business. Let's make you Rick. How about that? You're Rick. $500 million of revenue, $200 million of profit. You bring that in every year. Okay? And this is your group right here. All these people are here. They are your employees. Now, you are in building 38. Now, we had another business. It was called the tools business. This is the business where you make a little tool, little electronic tool, like a handheld thing that technicians often wear on their belt. Then when they climb up a pole, when they come to fix the thermostat in this room, they'll have this little thing. It's a meter. They'll take it out. They'll put it in there. See what the meter thing. It's a Mickey Mouse thing. Compared to an oscilloscope, this is Mickey Mouse electronics. Okay, it sells for about $200. And we had this too. We had a $10 million business, but there was another company that had $200 million of this business. And they were nobody. I mean, come on. We had the best technology there was, but we could not build a competitive product to that company. We had a $10 million business, and we were losing $3 million in that business. Losing $3 million. How much money are you making every year?
$200 million.
$200 million of profit, right? Okay, now, so the president decided he was going to bring somebody from the outside, and he was going to kind of really give this a boost to the tools business. So he brings Al. Al comes in. Okay, Al's going to take the tools business and run with it. Guess what? Al says, okay, you know what I'm going to do? My vision, I'm going to put that other company out of business. Out of business. We're going to be the king. Tools business. He hires a whole bunch of new people. He says, you guys on the oscilloscope side, you guys, you don't know how to build an instrument without throwing the kitchen sink into it. Okay? You don't know how to build a $200 instrument. No, I'm going to bring somebody from the outside. And in fact, he doesn't even want to sit in your building, building 38. Across the street is building 39. He says, I'll take building 39. And by the way, you know, this company, pretty Spartan company. We didn't have, you know, assigned parking spots. We didn't have, you know, plants. We didn't even know plants were green. You know, I mean, you know, no plants, no artwork on the walls, no nothing at all. Okay, pretty, you know, cubicles. Everybody had cubicles. Recently, when the president came, you got yourself an office as a vice president, but everybody else has got cubicles. No. Al came in. He said, I'm going to gut building 39, rebuild it from the inside. It's going to be what we need for our culture. Hire all of you guys, okay? All of you here, you are part of Al's group. Now, you love Al. Oh, by the way, he had this vision of just killing that company, becoming the king. And right as you walked into Building 39, he had created a round glass piece. And it wasn't just a round thing. It was like a curved pieces of glass, square piece of glass. Every person got one. Every one of you got one. And you got to write on that your version of our vision. How are you going to make us kings? Okay? And by the way, you get to choose. Do you want offices? Do you want cubicles with an workspace in the middle? You got to choose that. How do you guys feel about Al?
Love Al.
You love Al, right? Well, yes, we're going to get, what are you going to become? You're going to become the king of the tools business, aren't you? Okay? Now, oh, you should have seen this. On Friday, true story, folks. Every Friday at 3 p.m., ice cream rolls in. 3 different flavors. Every Friday. And by the way, Al says to you, don't you go talking to the people on the other side, Building 38 folks. You talk to them, they'll completely corrupt you, and we need to build a $200 meter. How do you guys feel about this? Have you been across the street to the other building?
I wasn't allowed in.
I hear there's this curved glass thing there. How do you feel about this?
I feel left out.
You feel left out? No, you don't have, but how much money do you make?
$200 million.
$200 million of profit. That's what you make. Now, Al, by the way, you know what you did? What you did, you noticed that she had built an IC, which is an integrated chip, for a very sophisticated oscilloscope. It did all sorts of things. But you realized that, you see these integrated chips, the design is where the expense is. You know, tens of millions of dollars go into the design. But once designed, they're pennies to produce. You figured that you could take one of those chips, put it into a meter, detune it so you didn't really use most of it, but the few things you needed, this meter could do wonderful, fantastic stuff. Stuff that other company could never do because they don't have the oscilloscope division to build that kind of a chip. So you took that chip that she had built, put it in here, detuned it, and built a meter. Wow. Powerful meter. This was an unbelievable meter. And you took it to the market. By golly, in 1 year, it was a hit. It was a hit. $20 million now revenue next year. Went straight from 10 to 20. And the loss went from $3 million loss to almost zero. Not quite, almost zero. How do you guys feel?
Happy.
Pretty good, huh? Pretty good. How do you guys feel about this?
About their success?
About their success? What's your problem? They're coming there.
I'm not allowed to enjoy any of it.
Well, wait a minute. Do your work. You got an oscilloscope business. Do you have any problem with this?
They used our chip.
I know, but it's our company. It's a one company. How does it matter?
Doesn't feel like one company.
Well, but they're doing what they need to do. They're growing the business. Hey, listen, how much money do you make? $200 million. How much are they even zero yet? I know. How much is their revenue? 20 million. It's a drop in the bucket. It's in the noise, right? Rounding errors for you.
Pardon me?
Rounding error.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, as long as I get my corner office, I'm good.
So, and you guys, oh, by the way, the picnic that summer, oh, what a picnic Al threw. That was a great picnic. Beer and wine was just flowing like water. Oh, by the way, this guy here, he doesn't get his summer picnics, BYOB. Okay? I mean, if he provided ketchup and mustard, you're happy. Okay? How do you guys feel?
He's cheap.
Yeah, but you know what? He's got to produce. How much money do you have to produce? $200 million. He's got to watch every penny. How do you guys feel? Do you feel like stepchildren? Yeah? But why are you mad at their success?
I'm mad that I don't get to be a part of it.
Well, but why does it matter to you? Because you are doing the same thing you've been doing for the last 10 years. But they're being successful. Enjoy their success. Oh, by the way, next year, you go from $20 million to $30 million. And this time, the loss becomes a $3 million profit. You are profitable by $3 million. Wow. How do you feel?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I mean, what do you think of Al?
Fantastic.
Al's fantastic. You'd jump off a cliff for Al, wouldn't you?
Maybe not that.
But I mean, think about it. And that particular year, Christmas party, the best band in town played live. You guys, by the way, you don't get a Christmas party. He doesn't believe in holiday parties. No holiday parties for you guys. How do you feel?
It seems silly that they're celebrating all their success when it's not as much dollar amount.
But they've gone from a $10 million business to 30, -3 profitability to +3 profitability, and they're on their path to putting that other company out of business. What do you want to become? The king of the tools business. What is your problem? And then next year, $40 million. Now, this guy here, Rick, he gets mad. He says to the big boss, the president, he says, you know, this isn't working. My guys are all getting upset about this, and we are now trying to protect a $30, $40 million business and sabotaging, possibly jeopardizing a $500 million business that produces $200 million of profit. We've got to put the two together. Epilogue to the story. They put the two businesses together. Al was let go. 80% of you guys left. Today, that company is out of the tools business. Folks, what happened? Who did what wrong? Before we analyze that, let's ask about how much gravitational pull did Al create within your division? Huge. When people asked you guys what company you worked for, you named the parent company. When they asked you what company you worked for, you said tools business. Your identity was the tools business. How much gravitational pull did he create? Huge. How much repulsive push did that create in all of you? A considerable amount of repulsive push. The reality is, you can't avoid it. Whenever you create a gravitational pull that's very, very strong, I belong to this. If you belong to a club, there's got to be people who are not in the club. And the people who are not in the club are going to feel like they're left out. So what can you do about that? So let's go back and ask, who did what wrong? Did the big boss, the president, did he do wrong by saying to Rick, go do what you need to do to maintain my $200 million of profit, and Al, go do what you need to do to bring us all become a king of the tools business? Was that wrong? Now, did Al do wrong? What was Al's job? To become the king of the tools business. Was he not going in that direction? Did Rick do wrong? I mean, his business was getting jeopardized. His people were complaining. And there was $200 million of profit at stake here. Who did what wrong? Let me explain what might have happened. You see, when Al pulled this together, he could have potentially, had he understood this tool, could have said, my gravitational pull causes a repulsive push, which has harm to the company. What can I do about that? He might have said, say, why don't you, all of you, on Fridays, invite one of your friends from across the street to show them, let them have ice cream with you. Enjoy the ice cream. Become part of this concept. He might have said, on that Christmas party, on the holiday party, you who took that IC that she built, why don't you invite her over? Let's put her up on a pedestal. Let us tell everybody it is her IC that she built 10 years ago that really has positioned us with a $200 meter. He didn't do that. He addressed his problem. He didn't address the company's problem. You see, in all of our companies, we have different sites, the Winnipeg site and the Calgary site. We have different divisions, the consumer division and the B2B division, different departments, the sales department and the headquarters. And these sites and divisions and departments, they create gravitational pull. We are this. And that gravitational pull, it isn't needed because you want to be an entity. You want to feel like part of that. But it creates a repulsive push. At a minimum, understand it. If possible, acknowledge it. But better yet, find ways to mitigate the adverse effect of that repulsive push. If you're conscious about it, intentional about it, you can find ways to mitigate that. In your company, be very clear about the various insides and outsides that are occurring.